Okay, Sir Galahad, we are live at 101.5 FM WLCB, Slade's Corner, Wisconsin. My name is Bill Miksch. I'm president of WDMA Financial Group in Grayslake, Illinois, where we protect your life, we protect your health, we preserve your wealth, and we guarantee an income for the rest of your life, and I couldn't say it if it weren't true. Welcome back, everybody. It is November 19th. We are about 1 week away from Thanksgiving, and I'm not counting the days until Christmas. I will say this for the children that are listening. Santa is looking for your Christmas list. And in my house, folks, Santa lives. Sorry to disappoint those of you who think Santa is a fallacy, but if you don't believe in Santa in my house, you get underwear and socks, and that's it. If you believe, then sky's the limit to the extent of Santa's pocketbook. So, anyway, welcome back, everybody. Sean is on assignment. He is somewhere in the hinterlands of our capital, known as Washington, D.C., doing some field work. And hopefully he's listening. And Sean, if you do want to call in, I am honestly, I was wanting to interview you tonight, but we're going to wing it. We're going to cover tonight, folks. We're going to continue the discussion we've had in the past couple of weeks on retirement and how annuities fold into the retirement processes. And the goal tonight was actually to kind of do a role play with Sean, but since he's not here, we're still going to ask the questions. And some of them are going to be rhetorical, and some of them are going to cause you to pause a little bit and make you think. I've said this before, I'll say it again. We're very good at, as advisors, telling people how to save, how much to save, not only just for college, but emergency fund money, for vacation money, for retirement, obviously. But we don't do a good job at all in preparing our clients, and this is on all of us, as a client and as an advisor, we don't do a very good job in preparing our clients to unwind everything they've done for the last 20, 30, 40 years. You're going to hear me talk about things like longevity, taxes. Let's get my notes out here. I can speak with some authority. I have this paper cut that is driving me nuts. You're going to hear things like longevity, lifestyle, taxes, health care, regular paychecks. Those kinds of things are, how much money do you need? Do you have a pool of money, or do you have an income? So these are the kind of things that we need to start having discussions about, particularly since, depending on the data point you want to search out, 12 to 14,000 people a day, folks, are turning 65. That means the baby boomers are coming like a tsunami. And many of them have done pretty good at saving money. A lot of them, frankly, have not. And they may be destined to work until they drop, and that for some people that may be okay. People want structure in their lives, and they don't know what they might do with themselves if they have to retire, particularly if they're not getting a regular paycheck, which is another question that needs to be resolved a little bit. You know, you've been working for 20, 30, 40 years. You've been on a structured environment. Healthcare was provided for you by your various employers. You got a regular paycheck. Maybe you got a bonus every now and then. And from those bonuses and whatever you did over that course of time, you were able to maybe build a family and buy a house or two and build some wealth and equity. You know, and wealth is only defined by how you want to define it, not how the talking heads on TV or how I define it. Wealth is a matter of mindset as much as it is how much money do I have. Money makes things easier, maybe. But if you've got cash, cash is king. It doesn't always make life easier, however, depending on your moving parts. If you've got healthcare issues and you've got a lot of money, all the money in the world isn't going to, help you get out of that wheelchair, God forbid. So there's a lot of questions that you have to ask when you're walking into the retirement scope. So tonight we're gonna kind of do a role play thing of things to consider and things to ask yourself, or maybe if you're sitting with an advisor, if it's not me, you're gonna sit down with your advisor and maybe ask them some questions. As an example, today, or the last couple of weeks, I've done some seminars, one on Medicare 101 and one on Retirement 101. No product knowledge on any one of those seminars, folks, none. There's just basic information. This is how it works. And from that, a nice young lady met me today who wanted some help in redoing her Medicare stuff, and she had gone to both seminars. And at the meeting that I had with her today, she had mentioned the fact that her current advisor, who has been a good advisor, I just want to make that very clear. I'm not here to beat up anybody, that's for sure. The advisor's done very well by her, but never once has brought up an annuity. And her words, my healthcare client's words, were, "I'm worried about running out of money." Very common thought. Think about this. Let me bring it back to what I was talking about before. When you started working, you were provided with health care and benefits. You may have been provided with either a pension or a 401k or some kind of a savings vehicle to let you start to save for retirement. You were provided an income, a regular income once every 2 weeks or twice a month or once a week, depending on your circumstances, but you were provided a regular income. It was on autopilot. And when they dropped in the benefits, maybe you spent some time dealing with, different parts of the benefits like your health care or dental or disability or what have you. But when it came to the 401k, were you astute enough to look? Or did you just kind of ask your friends, what should I do? Or did you ask the HR person? Or did they have an advisor help you? Or did you have an advisor where the money should go? Honestly, folks, I will tell you, most people go on automatic pilot. They don't want to lose money, so they take the safe route, or they pick the most aggressive thing because they don't know what they're doing, and it may have worked, but what goes up will come down, as we all know. So, but these things were all on autopilot, for good, bad, and ugly, with very little advice or structure or any help at all. And now that train is coming to the next stop where you are taking a step back and go, it's getting close to when I want to decide if I want to retire or not. What does that mean to you? What is retirement? Does retirement mean do whatever you want because you can? Does retirement mean ending up babysitting your kids because they have to work, and that's okay? I've got some friends that are doing that right now, and that's okay, and they're happy to do that. Does it mean you still have to work? Does it mean you want to work? I've got a very close friend of mine who has said when he does retire, he's still gonna, go back to the grocery store and ask for a produce job because that's where he started way back when he got in the grocery business. So lots of different questions that you have to ask yourself. So we're going to get started right now, moving into, how this whole thing works. So let's talk about retirement in generalities here. When do you want to retire? And what does retirement look like to you? Does it mean traveling? Does it mean going to see the grandkids who live on all four sides of the country? Does it mean I can't go anywhere because I make enough money to be happy at home, but I'm really not interested in going around? I'll go to some sites around where I live, but I'm not interested in traveling around the country. Does it mean I can't go anyplace because I've got healthcare issues? So what does retirement mean to you? Does it mean I have to go back to work? Lots of people have found out that they started running out of money too quick because they didn't realize that their 401k was not a money tree. When do I take my Social Security? That's a big question, especially since there's over 500 different choices that a person can make. And what's worse, Social Security can't give you any advice as to which option to take. And then if you are the lower breadwinner of a couple, whose Social Security do you get? Do you get yours? Do you get your spouse's? If you get your spouse's, when do you get your spouse's? Is it when he dies or she dies? Or is it when he exercises his option? And then how much of his Social Security can you maybe get? So when do I take my Social Security, and what does that number look like? Do you have a pool of money? Well, last I saw, a pool of money is no different than having a pool in the backyard. It's a nice thing to have. You can give yourself a pat on the back that you had the wherewithal to put a pool in the backyard so that family and friends could come over and enjoy the pool. But you had to pay for that pool. You don't pay with the pool of money. You have income that you have to have. You have income needs. So the next question is, after coming off a regular check, a regular paycheck, and having all these benefits provided to you by the employer that you worked for, whether it's just one employer or 20, what does your income need look like? How much money do you need to maintain your lifestyle that you want to maintain? And you want to include the Social Security as a part of that equation. I know there's a lot of people that are going, oh, Social Security is not going to be around. I hate to tell you, folks, it's going to be around. Touching it is like the third wheel or the third rail. It's political suicide. This is not to say that it's not going to get fixed. It needs to get fixed. Just as a heads up, if Congress doesn't do anything as a part of their fiduciary responsibility to manage that pool of money to the extent that they've got trustees watching over it, by law, in 2033, if it doesn't get fixed in the near term and it's still suffering the plight of going bankrupt, basically, or running out of money, by law, the benefit that the beneficiaries would be getting will be cut by 1/3. So think about this. If your Social Security income is a big chunk of your retirement, and let's just say for purposes of discussion, you're getting $2,500 a month, and you're going to lose 1/3 of that money. Let's say, 9 years from now? How much is that going to hurt? Keeping in mind it's 9 years from now, and your pool of money, to the extent you're drawing income from it, probably has been drained a little bit. You're a little older. You may have healthcare issues that you didn't anticipate or didn't see coming, or up until that point you didn't have anything and then something happened. So income is going to drive the wagon, not a pool of money. A pool of money is an ego thing in my view. It's great for you to be able to see, hey, I got $1 million. Hey, I got $2 million. Hey, I got $500,000. That's an ego thing. Pools don't pay the bills. Income does. How much income do you need? What about health care? Big deal. Health care has been provided for you by your employer the entire time. And God knows it's not getting any cheaper, folks. It's not getting any cheaper. And honestly, I said this to a client of mine today. You could put Jesus Christ in the White House, and it's going to take a lot of heavy moving to fix the healthcare system in this country. And at some point, somebody's ox is going to be gored, which means, honestly, we all have to come to the table and say, what are we willing to give up, not what we want. And until we're willing to have that honest discussion, the healthcare system will not be fixed. And I say that from a professional level, and I don't take any glee in saying that. It's compounded by the fact that 12 to 14,000 people a day are turning 65, which is putting more pressure on Medicare. And Medicare is what drives healthcare in this country. Medicare pays maybe 35 cents on the dollar. If it costs a doctor $1 to open the doors, then they charge more money on the private sector, which is your health insurance companies, Blue Cross, Cigna, United Healthcare, Aetna, etc. And last I saw, premiums are starting to go up. My small group stuff has been averaging 12 to 18% this year. A couple clients have gotten lucky with single-digit increases, but the average increase is between 12 and 18%. And the highest one so far has been 24. Where's that money come from? When you go to retirement, healthcare is now on you. And you have to get Medicare. Whether you do a Medicare Advantage or a Medicare supplement, you have to get Medicare. So what does Medicare look like? And does your doctor accept Medicare? Doesn't take Medicare, accepts Medicare. Don't worry about the hospitals, short of the private ones that are not too many of those around any longer. Doctor has to accept Medicare for you to continue to see that doctor and be covered. If your doctor doesn't accept Medicare, you have a choice. You can continue to see him or her and pay out of pocket, or you have to change doctors. That's a personal decision. Not always easy, especially if you're going through a bunch of medical issues. But healthcare is a real thing. Included in that description is prescriptions, your drugs. The government just changed the rule this year to reduce the out-of-pocket cost for senior citizens to a maximum of $2,000. That's a good thing. That's a real good thing. Except last I saw, the insurance companies are not in the business of charity. So if you're taking a lot of prescriptions, you're going to be capped at $2,000. But what we have seen for calendar year 2025 is that we've lost at least a single page. We used to have 3 pages of carriers to look at. Now we're down to 2. And the premiums right now, frankly, are ranging anywhere from $0 to about $187 a month, depending on how complex your prescription needs are and whether or not your prescriptions are even covered. So healthcare is a real issue. And that's for the immediate concerns. Dare I say, I bring up the word IRMA. For those of you who have listened to my Medicare discussions in the past, IRMA is the surcharge tax that rears its ugly head when you decide to retire, and it's a 2-year look back. So if you're in a higher income bracket and 2 years ago you and your spouse made $400,000 and you're expecting your premium for Part B to be $185 that come this 2025, I got news for you. It ain't going to happen. You're probably looking at $400 a month per person. Per person. That's for a different discussion, but it's a part of the equation. So healthcare is an issue, and then the other part of healthcare is long-term care. Long-term care is not cheap, but the alternative could be worse. And there are ways in which you can manage that. If you've got enough resources, maybe you can self-insure. That's great. But what if you don't? You have to be able to answer that question. Taxes. If I say to you, do you want to live a same or similar lifestyle that you are living now at retirement, and you say absolutely, then you're going to be in the same or similar tax bracket. And the common thinking is, I'm going to be in a lower tax bracket when I retire, but if you tell me that you're going to be wanting a same or similar lifestyle, you're going to be in the same tax bracket. Taxes will be different. Your FICA taxes aren't going to be in play. You're certainly not putting money into a 401k any longer. But now you're withdrawing from the 401k, or you're withdrawing from your IRAs, and that plays a role. So taxes are an issue. We talked about healthcare. We talked about lifestyle. Longevity. This young lady that I met today, after we finished her Medicare stuff, and I saved her about $1,500 after moving her plan, she was ecstatic. Her first words were, "I'm afraid of running out of money." Now, when you're working, as long as you're working, you get that regular paycheck, so you don't have to worry about looking over your shoulder, wondering if I'm going to run out of a paycheck. You're going to get that. When you retire, the paycheck becomes, Bill Incorporated, meaning me, you. How much money do you need to maintain your lifestyle? And that includes whether you have rent or mortgage. You're certainly going to have property taxes. You may have a car payment. You're certainly going to have healthcare costs. You're certainly going to have food and electricity and cell phones probably, and a bunch of other things. Maybe a pool of money for gifting to your kids for Christmas or birthdays or what have you, your grandkids. But that's all going to be a part of it. But this lady was worried about running out of money. So how do you deal with that? Does your financial advisor shun different products that might guarantee you an annuity, guarantee you an income? Or are they in favor of them? Are they even allowed to sell them? And this kind of goes along to the whole discussion of fiduciary. I keep hearing that word, and I'm not a Series 6 and 63 guy. I used to be, meaning I could sell mutual funds. But I'm on the defensive side of things. I make sure that you don't lose money. I make sure that, and people like me are protecting your health care and guaranteeing you an income. The so-called fiduciary, and I'm not here to impugn them, cannot guarantee that your pool of money is not going to run to zero. And I can prove it just by historical averages. In fact, I have a chart that I used at my Retirement 101 seminar last Thursday that took historical returns from 2001 to 2022. And we took those returns, and we had $1 million in the account. Never took a dime out of the account, just let it ride. By the end of 2022, that person was down to $250,000. Technically speaking, $259,000. With all the ups and the downs, and there were more ups and downs during that 21, 22-year period, that person was down to $250,000. So how do you guard against running out of income and or running out of money? Let me use this as another example. So a broker might charge a 1% fee, which is perfectly fine, and I'm all for it, especially if they know what they're doing. But even if they don't, 1% is, that's what they get. That's what they're earning to maintain your account. And you've got $1 million. And when the markets are up, everything's fun, everything's easy, everybody's smiling. There's no work going on, or not much. There's not a lot of moving of money, partially because you start moving money around, especially if these are funds that are in a taxable environment. The moment you buy and sell stocks or mutual funds, you engage a tax. That's going to come at the end of the year, and you may not be accounting for that tax when you sell or buy something. So the fiduciary is managing that. No problem, you're getting an 8% rate of return, you're living off the interest, your $1 million is never being, touched, and all of a sudden, the market takes a 40% drop, and don't think it won't, because we've already seen it happen. And now you're down to 600,000. The 1% fee that the broker was getting went from $10,000 a year to $6,000 a year. You lost $400,000. How's that fiduciary thing going for you now? Is there any way for him to guard against it? I don't know. Nobody saw 2008 coming, or very few people. And we all know there's another bomb coming. How do we know? Because millions of dollars today, folks, are going into annuities. Not because the people think that these are the latest and greatest things that are going to kick off 10% rates of return. It's because these annuities have guaranteed that they can't lose the money, and they've guaranteed an income. That's right. Can't lose the money, guaranteed an income. If the market takes a dump, you cannot lose what you've put in. If the market goes below zero and you've got $100,000 in your annuity account, you've got $100,000 when it goes to zero. The insurance company took the hit. Well, Bill, how can the insurance company do that if they're losing money like that? Folks, insurance companies have spent lots and lots of money and hired very smart actuaries and underwriters and financial people to make sure that they understand what the market ebbs and flows are. The good insurance companies will be able to weather the storm. The companies that are not so solid are problematic. So I have no trouble saying to somebody, an insurance company is a good place to put part of your money. That's what insurance is for. They're insuring the pool of money that you work so hard for. They're ensuring that you get an income for the rest of your life. Even if you run out of that pool of money, that income by contract is still going to come. We've gotten to the bottom of the hour. We're going to start evolving this whole dynamic at the top of the hour. So for those of you, anybody want to call in and pepper me with a question, fire away. It's 262-342-6588. That's 262-342-6588. My name is Bill Miksch. I'm president of WDMA Financial Group in Grayslake, Illinois. This is your Insurance Corner. We'll be right back after these short messages.